My name is Sophia. I recently lost my father. I sat at the kitchen table, watching my mother pack my father's life into cardboard boxes. Her movements were practical and efficient, each item wrapped in tissue paper before being placed in the box labeled storage. Not mementos or mementos, just storage. It was as if my father were nothing more than a seasonal decoration, to be stored away until convenient. Laughter echoed from upstairs, intrusive and completely out of place in this house of mourning. Leo's children had been here less than a week, and they had already claimed territory like invading armies. The sound of their footsteps on the ceiling felt like someone walking over my heart. I clutched the small wooden box in my lap tighter, my thumb tracing its worn edges. Inside rested my father's watch, the one his grandfather had given him when he graduated from college. The last part of him my mother hadn't already swept into boxes. It helps you cope, the people at the hospital said. Removing the visual reminders, my mother says, not looking at me, her voice flat as she wraps another picture frame. What about me? I want to scream. I'm the visual reminder. Every time she looks at me, she sees him. The creak of the stairs makes my mother straighten, her face changing. The lines of sadness soften, replaced by something bright and artificial. A smile she's never worn for my father. Leo appears in the doorway, his arms sliding around my mother's waist as if he's marking his territory. His eyes barely register my presence before they lock completely on her. Honey, we need to talk about your room situation. My mother turns to me. The wooden box weighs heavily in my hands. My room situation? Leo clears his throat. Zoe needs a real room, not that guest room. It's too small for a teenager. My mother nods, her fingers lacing with his. We were thinking the room by the garage would be better for you, Sophia. It's cozy and you'd have more privacy. The room by the garage. The glorified storage room my father converted into an office when the garage flooded 3 years ago. Windowless, half the size of my current bedroom. Do you want me to move out of my room? The question sounds small and pathetic, even to my own ears. It's not just your house anymore, Sophia, Leo says in the patient tone adults reserve for difficult children. We're a family now. 4 months. My father has been dead for 4 months, and already I'm being moved around like a piece of furniture that doesn't fit in with the new decor. The rain drummed against black umbrellas that day. The water soaked the fresh earth that covered my father's casket, turning the floor into mud that stuck to my shoes. I stood there long after everyone else was gone, watching the rain create little rivers in the ground. Later, in Mr. Bernard's office, the family lawyer explained my father's careful planning with gentle precision. Samuel was very meticulous, he said, sliding papers across the table. 3 properties, investments, insurance policies. Your father wanted to make sure you were always well taken care of, Sophia. I remember looking at my mother and seeing something flicker across her face. A brief tightening around her eyes, a slight pursing of her lips. Not sadness, something harder, colder. The signs appeared slowly after that. My father's books disappearing from the shelves. A basement workshop dismantled in a weekend. Then Leo's children arrived, claiming the best seats on the couch, the newest video game, the biggest slice of the pie. At dinner, they talked over me, around me, but never to me. I became a ghost in my own house, watching my silverware move farther and farther to the end of the table each night. Yesterday, I found power of attorney papers in my mother's drawer while searching for stamps. The pages were covered in yellow highlighter, with notes and handwriting that wasn't my mother's scrawled in the margins. A soft knock jolts me out of my memory. I look up to see Zoe standing in my doorway, a tape measure in her hand, not even bothering to wait for the official notice of moving. Mom said I can paint it lavender, she says, stretching the tape across my wall. Where are you moving your things? Tears come silently, streaming down my cheeks as she measures my bookshelf, cataloging the space as if I've already vacated it. Later, Leo insists on a family photo for his mother. I stand on the edge, my body half in, half out of the frame. In the final photo, I can barely see myself, just the tip of my shoulder, a sliver of my face. My room will be painted. My place at the table changed. My existence erased. Have you ever felt like you were being erased from your own life? Like someone was using whiteout on your story, blurring out the parts that didn't fit into their new narrative? I look down at the wooden box in my hands. Inside, my dad's clock ticks steadily, the only proof that time is still moving forward, even as everything around me recedes. They think I'll just move into that little room, accepting being pushed to the margins of this new family portrait. But my dad made sure I was taken care of, and they have no idea what that really means. My books are strewn across the floor of the garage bedroom like casualties on a battlefield. Someone, my mom, Leo, or even Zoe, just dumped the boxes there and left. My childhood bookshelf, the one my dad built when I was 7, sits empty in the corner of my old bedroom. I know this because I saw Zoe's Instagram story this morning. She's spinning around in what used to be my space. The lavender walls are already dry. "We moved your stuff while you were at school," my mom says from the doorway. She doesn't apologize, doesn't ask if I need help organizing. She just stands there in her new blue sweater, the one Leo bought her last week. We need what's best for everyone right now. I gather my things, find a battered book of mine. The corners of the pages are bent, the cover scratched. "It's cozier in here anyway, kiddo." Leo appears behind his mom, his hand finding her waist with practiced ease. More privacy. Privacy, right? The concrete box with no windows and a door that doesn't quite lock. The musty smell of old flood damage that never quite dried. The lone light bulb hanging from the ceiling that buzzes like an irritated wasp. I say nothing. What would be the point? Later, I hear Zoe on the phone through the thin walls. I know. It's perfect. Mom said I can put up string lights next weekend. A pause. No, she just took it. Didn't even argue. That night, I find a box near the front door. My father's journals peek out from beneath old sweaters. I recognize the brown leather binding immediately. 12 volumes of his thoughts, sketches of construction projects, quotes he loved. Mom used to tease him about writing everything down. "Your father and his journals," she'd say, but her voice held affection. So I pull them out of the box, clutching them to my chest. "What are you doing?" Mom stands at the bottom of the stairs, arms crossed. "These are your father's journals, Sophia. Put them back. We're freeing up space. You can't give these away. You're living in the past." Her voice hardens. "Samuel is gone. We have to move on." I take a step back, still holding the journals. "These are mine. Whatever." She waves her hand dismissively. "Add more clutter to your room." That night, I read by flashlight, the journals spread out around me on the single bed that barely fits in this storage room they call my room. My father's handwriting flows across the pages, strong, confident. I trace the words with my fingertips. March 9th, met Amanda's friend Leo at a dinner party. She insists it's not an arranged meeting, but I've seen the way she looks at him. The restaurant was his suggestion. Expensive taste. I freeze, checking the date again. March 9th, Dad was still alive in March. He was sick, yes, but he still came home every day, still sat at the kitchen table, still helped me with my calculus homework. I flipped through them frantically. April 8th, Amanda meeting Leo for coffee again. Third time this week. Said she needed support from someone who understood her. What about me? What about Sophia? My stomach turns. I read entry after entry, the truth unfolding like a roadmap to betrayal. On graduation day, I learned to smile when I needed to. Honors student, scholarship recipient. I stand up straight as the principal hands me my diploma, searching the audience for my mother's face. She and Leo are in the third row, applauding politely. The celebratory dinner feels like an ambush. "We have something to share," Zoe announces. Before I can even open my presents, she exchanges glances with her father, then looks at her mother, who nods encouragingly. "I'm pregnant." Mom clasps her hands together. "Isn't this wonderful? We're going to need to make some changes around here." "Changes?" I ask, even though I already know. "Well, the baby will need to be close to us." She doesn't meet my eyes. "We're thinking the nursery should be on the main floor." "But I still live here, Mom." Leo clears his throat. "For now, Sophia, but you're an adult. You'll want your own place soon." The phone rings the next morning. Grandma Anna's voice is louder than it has been in months. "Sophia, your grandfather and I are worried. We haven't heard from you in weeks." Later that week, I meet Mike, my father's best friend, for coffee. He was my father's contractor for 15 years. Your father knew, Sophia. Mike slides a folder across the table. These properties he left you. Mom said I can't touch anything until I'm 21. Mike shakes his head. That's not right. The trust transfers at 20. Your father was very specific. I visit the lawyer the next day. Mr. Bernards confirms everything. I take careful notes in a new journal, one that looks just like my father's. 3 months later, I come home from my community college classes to find 2 men carrying my bed out of the garage bedroom. Cans of pink paint sit near the door. What's going on? Mom appears from the kitchen. The baby needs to be close to us, Sophia. You're hardly ever home anyway. Where are my things? We packed what seemed important. She gestures vaguely to several trash bags near the stairs. You can keep them at your grandparents' house if you need to. This is my home. If you can't support this family's needs, Leo says from behind her, maybe you need to find another place to live. I look at my mother, really look at her. The woman who held me through the nightmares and taught me to read. The woman who helped my father hang the Christmas lights and laughed when he couldn't sing in tune. The woman who now stares at me with the eyes of a stranger. I grab one trash bag, then another, carrying them to my car in silence. The last thing I grab is my father's wooden box, with the clock inside, keeping steady, sure time. When someone takes everything from you, do you walk away or wait for the right moment to claim what's yours? I had to make that choice, and my decision changed everything. Rain pelts the windshield as I pull into my grandparents' gravel driveway. The wipers fight the downpour, keeping pace with my sobs. A suitcase. That's all I could grab before Amanda made it clear that I was no longer welcome in what used to be my home. I sit in the car, watching the streams of water run down the window. The porch light flickers on and Grandma Anna appears in the doorway, her silhouette a beacon in the storm. The car door feels incredibly heavy as I push it open. My feet sink into the mud as I trudge toward the farmhouse, the rain soaking through my thin jacket. Grandma doesn't say a word when I reach the porch. She simply opens her arms and I collapse into them, my body shaking with the weight of everything I've lost. Your father knew this would happen, she whispers against my wet hair. Not I'm sorry or it'll be okay. Just the truth. The truth Dad saw coming long before I did. Inside, Grandpa Carlos sits at the kitchen table, his calloused hands wrapped around a mug of coffee. His eyes, so much like my father's, fill with a mixture of sadness and something harder when he sees the state of me. The attic room is ready for you, Grandma says, taking my suitcase. It's been like this since the day of the funeral. They've been waiting for this moment. They knew Amanda would kick me out altogether. That night, in the small attic room with its sloping ceiling and window overlooking bare apple trees, Grandpa brings me a wooden box. Samuel wrote these before he got really sick. He sets the box on my bed. He said to give them to you when you needed them most. Inside, neatly stacked letters address milestones my father would never witness. My high school graduation, my first heartbreak, my wedding. On top, one is simply labeled, "When she pushes you away." My hands shake as I unfold the paper. Sophia, if you're reading this, your mother has chosen a path I hoped she wouldn't take. Remember, what she's doing isn't about you. It never was. The trust will protect what I've built for you until you're ready. I've made sure of that. But the most important thing isn't the houses or the money. It's knowing that your worth isn't tied to how others treat you, not even your family. Anna and Carlos will show you the way. Listen to them. I love you, girl, more than any house or possession. Dad. I sleep with the letter under my pillow that night, my father's words a shield against the nightmares that follow me into sleep. The nightmares come anyway. I stand in front of our house, my house, as invisible hands dismantle it brick by brick. I try to stop it, but my feet won't move. Amanda watches from the window, Leo beside her, both of them smiling as the roof collapses. I wake up gasping, sheets twisted around my legs, my father's watch clutched in my hand. The calls start 2 weeks later. Sophia, honey, Amanda's voice drips with false concern. Leo thinks you should transfer the lease. Just that one. We need to expand our portfolio, and this property would really help us. I say nothing, letting the silence stretch between us. Sophia, are you there? This selfish behavior is so unlike you. I hang up without answering. 3 months into living with my grandparents, I nearly lose my college scholarship when Amanda refuses to sign my financial aid forms. If you're independent enough to move out, you're independent enough to pay your own bills, she says when I confront her. Grandpa takes me to the financial aid office himself. We spend hours with a counselor who helps me apply for independence. The process is brutal, exposing the family's disintegration for outsiders to assess. From my grandparents' porch, I watch through binoculars as workers haul new furniture into my childhood home. The nursery appears in what used to be my father's office, pale yellow walls replacing his dark green. On my 19th birthday, Grandma sets a stack of leather-bound ledgers on the kitchen table next to my cake. Your father's business records, she explains. Every property purchase, every renovation, every dollar earned or spent. Samuel built it all from nothing, Sophia. He wanted you to understand. I spend the summers between community college semesters studying these ledgers like sacred texts. I enroll in courses in business administration, property management, real estate law. Each class a stepping stone toward reclaiming what is mine. The first time I step into one of my homes, the rental on Oak Street, I see it with new eyes. Not just as my father's legacy, but as my future. I note the aging roof, the outdated kitchen, the potential hidden beneath years of rental wear and tear. The gutters need cleaning, Grandpa Carlos points out during our weekend inspection. Never ignore water problems. They'll cost you triple if you let them get worse. Saturdays become renovation days. Grandpa teaching me how to replace doorknobs, unclog drains, identify foundation problems. His patience never wavers when I mess up, my hands bleeding from rookie mistakes with tools. Sundays are for law classes with Grandma, a former paralegal who spreads Oregon property laws across the dinner table like battle plans. Unlawful possession means nothing, she explains, highlighting passages in the tenant codes. Amanda and Leo are, essentially, squatters with a family connection. My dad's old friends show up with work contacts, advice, business cards passed over coffee. Samuel helped me start my construction company, says Joao Martins, pressing his card into my palm. Time to return the favor. On my bedroom wall, a calendar marks the days until my 20th birthday, the date the trust will be transferred completely into my name. Red XS cross out the days like a countdown to release. The lawyer's office is cool and quiet when I visit in June. Ms. Richards reviews my rights and responsibilities with clinical precision. You will have full control of all 3 properties, she explains, including the right to determine occupancy. I create fair market rent spreadsheets for the Portland suburbs, research eviction procedures, draft a business plan for property improvements once I have access to the trust income. The formal notice waits in a folder on my desk. 30 days to vacate. My signature line is empty until the legal date arrives. On the morning of my 20th birthday, before I meet with the trustee, I visit my father's grave. The August sun warms the granite headstone as I trace his name with my fingers. You made sure I was okay, Dad. Now I'm going to make you proud. The trust documents feel substantial in my hands when Miss Richards passes them across my desk hours later. My signature transforms them from potential to actual, from future to present. Grandma's hand rests on my shoulder as we leave the office. You're ready, she says simply. The question isn't whether I'll serve Amanda and Leo with the notice. The question is whether I'll have the courage to take back what's rightfully mine, even if it means pitting myself against my own mother. I tuck the notice into my purse, my father's watch heavy on my wrist. I'm ready. I grip the steering wheel of my car as I turn onto the property. The collar of my white blouse presses against my throat. The certified letter in my briefcase burns like a living thing. Leo's oversized SUV sits in the driveway of my childhood home, dwarfing Mom's sedan. Next door gleams a brand new fishing boat, probably worth a year's worth of college tuition. My father's money at work. The doorbell echoes inside the house. A sound that once meant I was home now announces me as a visitor. When Mom opens the door, her smile freezes in mid-formation. For a moment, her eyes widen with something akin to fear. Sophia. She blinks rapidly, one hand going to her throat. We weren't expecting you. Clearly. I walk past her without waiting for an invitation. The scent of an unfamiliar potpourri hits my nose, cinnamon and clove instead of my father's preferred pine. Who's there, honey? Leo's voice calls from the kitchen. followed by heavy footsteps. He appears in the hallway, a beer in one hand, the remote in the other. His expression hardens when he sees me. Well, look who decided to remember where he lives. This isn't a social call. My voice sounds firmer than I feel. I open my briefcase and pull out the sealed envelope. I'm here to formally deliver this. Mom takes it with trembling fingers. What is this? A 30-day notice to vacate. The words hang in the air like smoke. Leo's face turns crimson red, while Mom's drains of all color. You can't be serious. She rips open the envelope, her eyes scanning the legalese. A baby cries upstairs. Mom's eyes dart toward the sound, panic replacing shock. You can't just kick us out. The baby is only 6 months old. Leo steps forward, straightening to his full height. This is our home now. You can't just take it away. Actually, I can. The trust was very specific. I keep my voice calm, as my lawyer instructed me. The property was transferred to me on my 20th birthday. I've already allowed you to stay rent-free for 3 months. Footsteps thunder down the stairs as Zoe appears, balancing the baby on one hip. Her hair is pulled back in a messy bun, dark circles under her eyes. What's going on? Your stepsister is evicting us, Leo says. Zoe's mouth drops open in shock. Where are we going? I adjust the strap of my briefcase, careful not to let my hands shake. You have 30 days to find a new place. I was very generous. Generous. Mom's voice cracks. You call that generous? After everything we've done for you. The laugh escapes before I can stop it, sharp and bitter. What exactly did you do to me, Mom? Shoved me into a closet, erased Dad from existence, left me homeless at 18. It's not fair. Neither is what you did to me. I turn to leave, my heart hammering against my ribs. Mom rushes to the phone, dialing frantically as I leave. By the time I reach my car, the calls have already started. My phone lights up with messages from relatives. How could you do this to your mom? Your dad would be ashamed of you. I never thought you were so cruel. I sit in my car, my forehead pressed against the steering wheel, doubt creeping in like cold water. Would Dad be ashamed? Am I doing the right thing? 30 days pass in a whirlwind of angry calls and tearful voicemails. Mom and Leo head off for a weekend in Arizona, completely ignoring the deadline, their final act of defiance. When the 30-day deadline arrives, I return with Grandpa Carlos and a locksmith. Neighbors watch from their porches as we present our paperwork to the bemused police officer who answers their calls. Ma'am, everything appears to be in order, he tells the bewildered Mrs. Patterson next door. Miss Garcia is the legal owner of this property. I walk through the empty rooms after the moving company has loaded Leo and Amanda's belongings into storage. In the garage, I find Dad's fishing trophies tossed in a trash can, awaiting pickup. I retrieve them one by one, brushing the dust off the little gold figurines. The nursery furniture we carefully place in a climate-controlled storage unit, along with everything else the baby really needs. I'm not a monster, despite what my mom's Facebook posts claim. That night, I sleep in my old room for the first time in years. The walls are painted, but beneath the new layer, I know my growth spurts still exist, pencil lines marking each anniversary. Hidden but not erased. The next morning, I'm drinking coffee when car doors slam in the driveway. Leo's SUV pulls up, followed by Mom's sedan. Their faces transform from travel-weary to grim as they try their keys in the new locks. Police cars arrive minutes later, at Leo's behest, but the officers simply review my paperwork again and stand by as Leo's threats escalate, from legal action to physical intimidation. Sir, you need to calm down, the older officer admonishes as Leo's finger pokes toward my face. From the living room window, I watch them drive away in defeat. Mom turns once to look at the house, her eyes meeting mine through the glass. I don't look away. Sometimes taking back your power means becoming the villain in someone else's story. But was I wrong to claim what was rightfully mine? The consequences would test my resolve in ways I never imagined. My phone buzzes again, the 5th time in 20 minutes. I don't need to look to know it's another family member, one I barely speak to, suddenly enamored with my moral failings. 12 voicemails since breakfast. Your mother has been busy, Grandpa Carlos says, placing a mug of coffee in front of me. I scroll through social media, where Amanda's family has launched their campaign. Lucy's post has 53 comments, praying for my sister Amanda during this difficult time. No mother should have to endure such cruelty from her own child. Uncle Theo shares a blurry photo of Leo holding the baby. Family means sticking together in difficult times. Shame on those who forget this sacred bond. Then I watched the tearful video of Amanda, professionally lit despite her desperate circumstances, mascara artfully smeared under red, puffy eyes. My own daughter left us homeless, she sobs to the camera, after everything we sacrificed for her. The wooden chair creaks as Grandpa sits down next to me at the kitchen table. You holding up, kiddo? I put down the phone. Half the town thinks I'm a monster. Not for long, he says, turning his laptop toward me. On the screen is his methodical posting of the timeline, date of Samuel's death, documentation of my room being repossessed, screenshots of Amanda refusing to sign my college forms, dated photos of my belongings piled high in the garage room. The legal notice served 30 days before they were required to move. Comments flood in below. I witnessed how they treated Sophia at school events. Her mom never showed up senior year. Their homeless family is staying in a waterfront rental in Newport. Her sister tells them. Sophia's mom kicked her out 2 years ago. I took her to her grandparents' house that night. Amanda's carefully constructed narrative crumbles with each new comment. The truth has a way of coming out, Grandma Anna says, joining us at the table. People remember how you were treated. The ceiling fan spins lazily, casting slow shadows across the padded placemats. Outside, the Oregon rain patters against the windows, a gentle rhythm that has become the soundtrack to my healing. Did I do the right thing? My voice sounds smaller than I want it to. Grandma's calloused hand covers mine. Your father didn't leave all this for you to just walk away from out of guilt. But no buts, she interrupts. Samuel built everything he had from nothing. He protected you the only way he could. The email from the property management company arrives at the perfect time. 5 applications for the rental properties, all offering above the asking price. The monthly income would cover my tuition and living expenses completely. Dad made sure I would never have to rely on someone who had already proven himself untrustworthy. That night, I changed my phone number. The next morning, I watch as the renovation crew arrives at my childhood home. They tear down the walls where Leo hung photos of his fishing trips, strip the pink paint from my old bedroom, rip out the carpet where my father used to carry me on his shoulders. Grief and relief mingle as I watch them work. Some wounds can't heal while you're still bleeding. A certified letter arrives a week later. Amanda's lawyer demands family heirlooms she claims are hers. I recognize the manipulation, a legal loophole, a reason to pull me back into her orbit. I return only what truly belongs to her, her grandmother's serving dish, photo albums from before she met her father, her college yearbooks, nothing else. The boundary remains. 3 days later, she shows up at her grandparents' door. Gone is the polished, grieving mother from the video. Her hair is lifeless, her eyes sunken with defeat. I just want to talk, she says when I answer. I step out onto the porch, closing the door behind me. Amanda has rewritten our story so many times that I barely recognize the original plot. This feels like another rewrite. You didn't make mistakes, I say. You made choices. Sophia, please. Her voice cracks. You're still my daughter. The words I've held back for years come flooding back. You chose them before you chose me, long before I chose myself. Her face falls, the carefully constructed mask slipping. For the first time, I see real remorse in her eyes. I never thought you'd really leave, she whispers. That's because you never really saw me. The wind rustles through the oak trees lining her grandparents' driveway. A car passes on the distant road, life continuing around us, oblivious to our little human drama. Can we start over? She asks, reaching for my hand. I pull away. No, her tears come then, real tears this time. I'm sorry, Sophia. I'm so sorry. I believe you, I say. And the weird thing is, I do. But some things can't be fixed with an apology. She nods slowly, something like understanding passing between us. No dramatic reconciliation, no promises of holiday dinners and birthday cards, just the silence of what we've become to each other. I watch her walk back to the car, her shoulders hunched forward as if she's fighting a strong wind. Then I close the door, lock it, and head back to the family that never asked me to be small. When family betrays your trust, can those wounds ever truly heal? Or does healing sometimes mean walking away? Some bridges can't be rebuilt, and some shouldn't be. Morning light streams through the windows of my apartment, casting golden rectangles on the hardwood floor. I sit cross-legged in my desk chair, surrounded by textbooks and the steady rhythm of rain against the glass. 3 years since I've held my ground. 3 years of building something new. The property management report is open on my laptop. 3 homes, 12 tenants, steady income. Numbers my father would understand. Numbers that have built this life. His clock catches the light in its glass case on my desk. I touch the case gently, a ritual I perform every morning before class. Still ticking, I whisper, "Dad." On my wall hangs a photo from my college orientation. Grandma Anna standing tall despite her arthritis. Grandpa Carlos beaming beside her, his hands resting protectively on my shoulders. The family that chose to stay. I flip through my therapy journal, pages filled with neat handwriting that gradually becomes stronger, less hesitant. The first entries tremble with doubt. Was I wrong to take back what was mine? Should I have compromised? The later ones remain firm. I deserve to protect what Dad built for me. Setting boundaries is not selfish. My phone buzzes. A text from Clara inviting me to dinner with our study group. Friends who know me only as Sophia the business student, the quiet girl with surprising insights during case studies. Not Sophia the displaced daughter. Not Sophia who once slept in a glorified closet while strangers claimed her home. Professor Walter returned our business proposals yesterday. Mine is marked with a shiny A and a notation. Excellent expansion strategy. Your dad would be proud. He doesn't know about Dad, but somehow the words ring true. Either way, a small award certificate sits propped up on my bookshelf in recognition of the renovation project I oversaw at the Portland property last summer. Tenants have sent photos of their children playing in the backyard that I once thought I'd never see again. The family newsletter Aunt Julia still sends contains news that I read selectively. Mom and Leo split last spring. No surprise there. Some relationships built on betrayal eventually faced their own yesterday. An unexpected email appeared in my inbox. Zoe, now a mother, wrote, "I didn't understand then what we took from you. I'm so sorry. 3 years too late, but still, growth happens at different rates for different people. I've responded to some family members, and I keep my distance from others. Uncle Dave, who stood by me, gets Christmas cards. Cousin Sandra, who called me cruel, doesn't. I've learned the freedom of selective forgiveness, given freely but only when deserved. Last week, I visited the old house. I stood on the sidewalk watching the Wilson family move in. The young son running around the front yard, the sister carefully carrying her science project to the door. Mrs. Wilson waved from the porch, thanking me again for approving her application. I walked up the familiar steps, touching the doorframe where Dad had once marked my height with pencil marks. The Wilsons preserved that, understanding that some stories deserve respect. Walking away, I didn't look back. The weight I'd carried dissipated years ago in my campus office, a corner desk in the administration building. I framed the trust documents, not as a reminder of grief but of protection. Dad's signature at the bottom, the legalese that sheltered me when I had nothing left. My own business cards sit in a card holder next to them. Garcia Property Management. Small but growing. Adding a duplex next spring, if projections hold. Yesterday, I visited Dad's grave, placing fresh flowers against the headstone and sitting on the grass beside him. "You protected me even when you couldn't be here," I said, my voice steady in the stillness of the cemetery. The confused, scared girl I was feels like someone I knew long ago, a character in a story I've outgrown. I pressed my palm against the cool stone. "I protected what you built for me." The wind rustled the oak trees overhead, scattering light through the leaves. Dad always said, "You judge a life by what's left when you're gone." What's left of his life is me, film, moving on, building something lasting. The greatest inheritance I've inherited wasn't the houses or the money. It was learning to stand my ground. What did you think of Sophia's story? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this story, please like and share this video and subscribe to the channel for more heartwarming stories.